You're listening to V2V Church, empowering the next generation.
Welcome to Issues of Life. Before we start, I'd like to send a personal invitation to everybody here. Tonight at V2V Church at 6:30 p.m. we have our carol service. We have free mince pies, we have free drinks. We'd love to see you in person. Please feel free to come along. Go to our website, V2Vchurch.com. That's V2Vchurch.com, where you get all the information and address. God bless you. Well, today we have some serious stuff to talk about. I'd like to use my own life to talk about the problems we face when we marry someone not from our country, our culture.
Interracial marriages.
Interracial marriages.
Which is really common today. We live in a society and a culture today that interracial marriages happen all the time. The kids are growing up in the same schools together. They're not thinking what country you're from, where your parents are from, etc. And I think it's a relevant topic, whether you're Christian or non-Christian.
Yes, absolutely.
We've had our fair share.
We've had a lot.
Yeah.
Heard a lot.
Well, I'm born in Jamaica, but raised in the UK.
I'm born in St. Vincent, raised in the UK.
But even though we're both from Caribbean backgrounds, that we still encountered a huge amount of opposition, resistance, etc. from family.
But also, the thing is where, like today, I was born in St. Vincent. I lived there for 8 years. You were born in Jamaica, lived there for 8 years. So we knew something about where we came from. Not much, obviously, because we left when we were young. But the children today who are born in the UK, their parents may be from Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, West Indies, whatever. And their children have never left the country or been to those countries. And they fall in love with someone that is not from their country. But the parents make their lives so miserable.
Well, you know, when I think back to us, I can't remember asking, where are you from?
No, but when you
that wasn't an issue. It didn't come up.
But when you fall in love, you can't put a boundary on your heart and say, I will only love someone from my village. Or, for instance, in St. Vincent, the population of St. Vincent is 109,000 people. Well, what if there's no one there for me? Whatever. I don't meet someone and say, I can't fall in love with you unless you're from St. Vincent.
Well, I think when we think about God's design and God's plan of who he has for you, God had to take you out of your 109,000 population and bring you to England. He had to take me out of my country.
2.6 million.
Is it 2.6? I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, 2.6 million.
But God had to take us both out of where we were born and put us somewhere that we would connect and find each other. And I think that's one of the things that we've learned now as Christians, to accept that whoever God has for your children, it's not for us to necessarily fight or disagree or contend with God's choice for our kids.
But since I was a teenager, this has always been my struggle with my parents and other parents. If I'm going to get married, it should be my choice, not my parents' choice. And this is what a lot of parents are trying to do. They're trying to tell their daughter or their son, marry this one because of the color of their skin, the texture of their hair, or their education, or their family background. But if I'm going to marry, it should be my choice. If it goes wrong, let it be my choice.
Well, we're talking, I know it's easy to say it like that. And I think from the perspective of where we got married at 18, and it's going to be 39 years next year that we've been married. But what if it hadn't worked? Would we still have this same idealism? And I think, as a parent, talking from a parental perspective, you do want your children to choose the right partner. And, you can look at somebody that your child brings and see things. I mean, you always say this, that I'm not in love with them, so I'm seeing things that you're not seeing. So I understand that you know, but I think it's knowing where to draw the
but
line.
I don't. What you're trying to say is, I understand that if one of our daughters brought someone home
And
who's
you
a
know
drug
he's
dealer,
like no good.
if he's a drug dealer, if he's a criminal, if he's a womanizer,
If it's going to be bad for your
right,
child.
yeah, but that's fine. I think it's right to say this is wrong. This guy's going to take you down the road. But if it's just based on the color of their skin, the texture of their hair, where they were born, that I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Well, I wanted to define that because, you know, I can hear people saying, you know, but that person wasn't good. So we're removing that from the equation.
Yes.
That person, there's nothing wrong with them. They've got a job, they've got a career, they work. They go, you know, they're not into any crime, they're not into anything bad. And we remove all of that out of the equation. So there's actually nothing wrong with that person, as in anything bad. You know that you've never seen them disrespect your child. You've never seen them treat them any ways untoward. So let's take it from that perspective. There's nothing wrong with this child.
Let me give you mine then.
Okay.
All right. I'm 18 years old. I met you. I fell in love. It was love at first sight. I knew that this was the one I would spend the rest of my life with. I had many girlfriends, but you were the one that won my heart. It was just like, this is the one. So, you know, I've never thought of living together. Even at 16, 17, 18, I never thought of living with a woman. I've always, even without being a Christian, I always thought it was right to get married. Mm-hmm. You know, we used to have sayings, I don't hear them anymore, shacking up or living in sin. I remember as a boy, you'd hear people say, oh, they're living in sin. And these are unsaved people. So things have changed. Now, I do the right thing. I called my mum and dad to a meeting in our house. I said to them, you know, I found the woman I love. I want to get married. Obviously, you know, 18, I suppose in their eyes, you're very young. But I said, this is the one. I know this is the one. And the first thing they said to me, where's she from? I said, Jamaica. They said, you don't marry Jamaicans. And I'm like, why? I don't understand. Why don't you marry Jamaican? And then when they see you, because you're not what they thought I should marry, because my father's white, my mother's black, and my mother said she used to go to the cornfield and plait the hair of corn, dreaming about her children. She wanted children with a certain type of hair, she wanted children with a certain type of color skin, and because you didn't fit into that, you're not fair, they didn't want to know. I remember your dad coming to our house trying to talk to them, and they slammed the door in his face. They didn't even speak to him. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything about him. All they knew, you were from Jamaica, and you didn't fit into the model that they thought I should marry.
Yes.
So what they did, when I wouldn't change my mind, they threw me out the house. And even when I went ahead and got married, they then told all of my relatives, they didn't come to my wedding. They told all of our relatives not to come to my wedding. They just totally, because I didn't marry who they thought I should. And what it did, it alienated me from my parents. Because how do you get back together with them when they are treating your wife or your children as enemies?
The attitude of your mum and dad affected your siblings, which in turn, the rejection that they imposed on us, your siblings imposed that on us, and to this day, your mum and dad are gone, but the family is still divided, and that's what a lot of people do not see. And I want to appeal to anyone that's listening to the show today that it really is not worth it in the long term, because what your little prejudices and your hang-ups, what you're doing is ruining it for your children, because you disagree. At the end of the day, there was a resistance to us getting married, but once we were married, it was done. And I think once you get to that place, even if you disagree, what does it benefit that we continue this war? This war. What does it benefit if we continue alienating that child? We're going to miss out on grandchildren, and I know your parents did. They missed out on all our children. You know, being grandparents now ourselves, I would not want to not have any of my grandchildren close to me. And I think what we need to think, those of you that may be experiencing this in your families, is that it's not worth it in the long run, and you cannot change it. It's already happened, and I think the best thing you can do is learn to embrace, because the more you reject, the more you push that couple away, the more you divide your family.
This is the fruit of my parents' choice. When my mother married my father's family were all white, and they're very well-to-do. And my mother coming in, a black woman, even in the Caribbean, even in same, you know, when you talk about racism, I've seen more racism in the black culture than I've seen more black on black than white against black. Because,
you know, black people, I mean, at the end of the day, we shouldn't even talk about prejudice and racism. We get all uptighty and all offended if it's black on white.
There's more racism.
But we are actually worse than than anything else, because you'll go to, whether it's Africa or the Caribbean. I remember going to, you know, I've been going to South Africa for a number of years, and I know the segregation there was in place, but it's still in place today. You go to the Caribbean, and I know it's the same in Africa, the best jobs, the best positions, it's always given to the lighter skinned people. In fact, I remember going to St. Vincent with you and your mom, and we went to visit a relative. And you know, if a white person done this, we'd all be up in arms and in your face. But I remember visiting some relative. I don't know.
Her name's Gwenny. I
remember you. We were sitting down, and this woman looked at me and to my face said, "You're very pretty for a darkie." I could not believe that this woman said this to me. I mean, talk about racism. Hello, yes, you may be lighter than me, but you're black.
But the thing is, but they don't see it. This is the whole thing. It's like the white person putting down a black person, but then going laying in the sun trying to get brown. It just doesn't make any sense.
I remember saying this to your mum, and I was kind of doing it to wind her up, because I knew she had race. You know, I think because she married a white guy, she was kind of like, forgot she was black. But I remember doing this to wind her up, and I said to your mum one day, I don't think you were there, I said, "Mum, your ancestors came from Africa." She hates totally flipped on me, and she was like rebuking and telling me off, and I was just laughing at her. But the truth of the matter is, we originated from somewhere, so I think we need to deal with that and accept who we are and embrace it.
But let me tell you some of the effects it had there, being against our getting married. What it did, and we haven't got long left, but I want to cover this in this segment. What it did, it divided the family. How did it divide us? I kept our children away from them because I didn't want them putting that seed in our children. So, like Dominic's 25, he never saw our parents.
Your parents?
My parents didn't get to see them because I kept him away, and the girls, I wouldn't take them there. But they're dead and gone. My father's been dead for 23 years now, and my mother's been dead, I think 17 or I forget what it is now. But the reality is, what they've done didn't stop with them, because my siblings picked up where they left off.
And they're just the same.
They're exactly the same. Yeah. Same thing about color, texture of skin, and texture of hair, color of skin. They're exactly the same thing. Do you know, it's been 17 or 18 years I haven't seen my siblings, because it's getting around them. It's going back in time again. And I can't, in our position and what we do, we can't be involved in that stuff. So based on my parents, though they're dead and gone, the legacy they've left is division in their children. I haven't seen them in about 18 years and have zero interest in seeing them. Not that I have anything against them, but I have to protect us, our family, from that kind of racism. So we're out of time again. It's good.
We'll continue on this subject.
Yes, we will. Can we say a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to Colourful Radio? They're doing an amazing job. I was down there this week with the owner. A great guy. He's got an amazing wife, and God bless them for what they're doing. They're really focused on the family. really focused on reaching their community. And we want to say to Colourful Radio and its listeners, Merry Christmas and an amazing New Year to you all.
Happy New Year to everyone and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to our program. If you have any comments or questions or would like to tell us how this program has helped you, you could send us an email at v2vchurch@aol.co.uk, or you can visit our website at v2vchurch.com. V2V Church, empowering the next generation.